Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The event is about to begin.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to day 2 of the Charlotte Motor Speedway Media Tour presented by Technicom. Hope you made it through day 1 without a scratch. We certainly had a good time yesterday, and we are glad to see all of you back again this morning. A few quick housekeeping notes. Today's schedule will go as follows. We will be here, of course, to kick things off with Michael Waltrip Racing in just a moment. At 11 o'clock, we'll be back in this room for JTG Doherty and H. Scott Motorsports. Then we'll have lunch. And this afternoon, we'll have a program with Stewart Haas Racing at 1 o'clock. And then mid-afternoon at 3:15, we'll have a program with our new friends from NBC Sports as they look ahead to this season and picking up the new broadcast and the programming that they will have today. We'll look forward to seeing some of their talent lineup that'll be here. This evening we will have a very special event, again going on the road. We're going to the new Ford Tech Center, and that is located near the NASCAR R&D facility in Concord. We will have buses departing from the Martin Luther King entrance again here from the convention center, and it won't be a very late night. The buses will be leaving by 8:30 to return to the NASCAR Hall of Fame parking deck and to bring anyone back to the media hotel at the Hyatt Place. So we'll make a couple of other updates throughout the day to be sure you know what's happening with that tonight and make sure that that's a smooth trip this evening for everybody. We're looking forward to checking out their simulator and seeing some new things that they have taking place up there. Also, I would like to add, we've gotten several questions this morning about parking vouchers. When NASCAR delivers those to us, we'll make another announcement in the media workroom. So if you did park in the NASCAR Hall of Fame, we'll have a voucher for you today so that you'll be able to exit appropriately. So all that said, it is time to kick off day 2 this morning with our friends at Michael Waltrip Racing. We'd like to invite that team up to the stage at this time, and also welcome to the podium the founder and co-owner of Michael Waltrip Racing, and as I like to refer to him, a NASCAR Sprint All-Star race winner at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Mr. Michael Waltrip.
Thank you. I like to be referred to in that way as well, so we have something in common. Thank y'all for being here. I saw a lot of your friendly faces last night at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for our wonderful Fox event and enjoyed that very much. And today we're here to talk about the 2015 season and Michael Waltrip Racing. I've got a couple of enthusiastic, energetic, and ready to go race car drivers, and one of them is amazing. We saw Brian Vickers on December 19th, I think, in MWR, and I had to help him up the stairs, which he wasn't a fan of going up.
Yeah, he took me up the stairs.
I didn't know that was not part of his rehab, but it wasn't ready for that yet.
We could have taken the elevator, but instead he decided.
So, but today, look at him. I mean, he's ready. We got some wonderful news a couple of weeks ago that he would be in the car, back in the car, ready to race with no medical restrictions for the Vegas event. So, welcome back, buddy.
Thank you.
Not a lot of people have gone through what that young man's gone through, and his determination and his desire to be a champion in the Sprint Cup Series is something that motivates our whole team. So I'm really proud that you're a part of Michael Waltrip Racing. It means a lot. And Bowyer, it's good to see you too. Of course, Rob will be up to speak in a minute. I wanted to say just a few things about our team. This is the 8th season for Michael Waltrip Racing. We started in the Sprint Cup Series together with Toyota. We were beginners, and it was easy to tell the first couple of years. Our team wasn't competitive. We couldn't even make some races, and let alone have a chance to win. But we grew, and we began to get some traction, and we won races. And in 2012, we raced for a championship with Bowyer finishing second in the championship standings at the end of the season. Last year was a disappointing year for our team, and we had to look internally at how we could make our cars better, and we focused hard on our process, and we made some changes, and we know that our cars are better in 2015, and we're going to have a stronger season. We just know it, and I'm thankful for that because we have some great sponsors. 5 Hour Energy is in the first year of a multi-year extension on Clint's car. AAA and Peak have primary paint schemes on Clint's car again this season. We're excited about that. And Charter Spectrum, our relationship with our media partner there, continues to grow as their business grows as well. So those sponsors expect performance, and we expect to deliver that performance in 2015. We know we're better than we were. And Aaron's, for 15, 16 years, this will be the 16th season, they've sponsored a car of mine. And it started with 6 races in the Xfinity Series behind my house. We built cars behind my house, and they sponsored us, and we were able to win races. And that company has grown, and their relationship with our team has grown as well, to where they're the sponsor of our car for the whole series. And happy to have Brian back for sure. But he's not going to be back till Vegas. So I'm going to drive the car at Daytona. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But we're here to announce this morning that Brett Moffitt is going to get to drive the car at Atlanta. Brett's sitting over here, 22-year-old young man from Iowa. He's been doing a lot of testing for our team. He's won K&N races for our team, and he was the driver that everybody at Michael Waltrip Racing wanted to be in that car at Atlanta. They believe in his ability. We know how much he's helped us with our testing and preparation, getting to the racetrack. And Aaron's is going to reward him, and Michael Waltrip Racing is going to reward him for all that work with a chance to drive a winning race car. And couldn't be happier for you, young man. It's awesome. Looking forward to seeing you behind the wheel. I talked a little bit about Daytona. I don't know how many more times I'm going to get to race Daytona, but I know that I'm going to go down there in a couple of weeks in a car that can win Daytona, and that's an amazing feeling. Brian almost won in July in that car. Mark Martin raced for the win a couple of years ago in the 500. So I'm totally looking forward to my opportunity. You don't take anything for granted in racing, and getting into a race-winning car is something that means the world to me. To stand down on the floor of the shop and talk to the guys. Going to have pit practice here in a couple weeks with them, and just ready to race. Couldn't be happier about that. No one sits still during the off-season, and that's certainly the case for Michael Waltrip Racing. We've been working hard on building our new cars. I talked about them being better. To talk a little bit more about the business of Michael Waltrip Racing, I'd like to let Rob speak a bit. Hi, Rob.
How about that? Am I allowed to talk from here?
Yeah, you are.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for coming by. One thing about the team overall, Michael Waltrip Racing, people think about as a newer team. Well, this will be our 9th season, so I think what we're trying to do with Michael Waltrip Racing is to build one of the larger, enduring, more competitive teams in the sport. Be one of the old timers someday. We've kind of proven, we've had our ups and downs over time, but we're in this deal for the long term. We're making a lot of investments year in and year out to be competitive, and our goal is to win races in a championship or 2 or 3 or 4. But so that's really kind of the program from a top level standpoint. I think that we have resources comparable to any of the top level teams from an equipment standpoint, from a professionality standpoint, the crews, the effort we put into the pit crews, the training, the computer tools, everything from top to bottom of the place is really, I think, comparable, if not the same or hopefully better than some of our competitors. And we're committed. We're not doing this for practice. We're not doing it for, we're doing it to win. On the competitive side, as Michael said, 2014 wasn't quite where we want to be, but all teams have their ups and downs over cycles. Our thought at the end of last year was, leaving Homestead. We had recalibrated the instruments. I think we were getting more and more competitive. I think we had some pretty good momentum. We said, really, the way I think about it, the difference between the very first place car and the 12th place car is 1 or 2 tenths of a second. That's the difference. This is a super competitive sport. So you're talking about really just refining that edge. That's really the difference. It's not that you're completely off. It's, these guys say, oh, it's way off. But when they actually mean it's a tenth of a second or 2/10 of a second. So to our view, the guys who run the company, was what we need to do is just really refine things. So our plan for 2015 was really keep the core group more or less as it is. Brian, Clint, the basic, the pit crews, the chiefs, everybody was basically the similar. Reorganize a bit internally, work on some of our coordination with Toyota and TRD, and try to just refine that edge. We had a little bit of a curveball from Mr. Vickers at around the holiday season, but as you can see, he's fit and ready for action again. One thing I would say about Brian is after having done the 24 hours of Le Mans with him, and he brought a race car on fire to a halt, put the fire out, got back in, and drove it back to the pits, and we finished the race. So he's a pretty tough little dude. So I think with that, maybe let off to Brian.
As Rob has said several times, the rumors of my demise have been slightly exaggerated. I'm still kicking, still walking, and I feel great. It goes without saying that I have not felt great for about a month, but it's been a long process, but I've had a lot of practice at it over the last few years, and I've been very fortunate in my life. I think it starts with my parents and my family, just kind of instilling a never give up attitude. It's something I can't necessarily take credit for. It's something that came from them. And a tremendous amount of love and support from my family, my friends, and even my coworkers and partners like Toyota and like Aaron's have been there for me. Unfortunately, they've had to do it one too many times, but hopefully we're going to put an end to that. I went through it last year, and they couldn't have been more supportive. And again this year, from Rob, Michael, and Clint, and then again through our partners, Aaron's, it's just been fantastic. And I think it makes the recovery process. It just changes the dynamic when you just eliminate things you have to worry about. When you don't have to worry about, listen, there was a lot of periods where my future was uncertain and what I could or couldn't do. But what I always knew was that if I could get better and the doctors were okay with it, there was a place for me. And that was at Michael Waltrip Racing. And knowing that in the back of your mind, not having to worry about that, helps a lot. And that's something I can't thank all of these guys, everyone at MWR. There's a lot of them sitting down here, and all of our partners enough for. So I'm really excited to be back. I feel like I want to get in a car tomorrow. There's something about my chest is not quite grown back together enough for that, unfortunately. But they tell me it's going to be great and ready to go for Las Vegas, and I couldn't be more excited about it. And just in time for another run of the championship, and that's important to us. Like Rob said, we've got a great organization with a lot of great people. We didn't win the championship last year, but we've got a lot of people that are capable of it. Needed a few tweaks through the offseason, but we're excited about the team we're coming back with. We got two great crew chiefs, great managers like Ty and Scott Miller, and I'm very excited for Brett Moffitt. He's a great young man. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a great race car driver. I've been able to work with him a lot through the testing, and been very proud of his effort. And no one's more deserving of getting a shot at this car at Atlanta than him. And I think it was the right choice by everybody. There's no doubt in my mind that he's going to go there and he's going to have a shot to win that race. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Bowyer.
Yeah. There's no need to sugarcoat anything. I'm a racer and been racing a long time. Last year sucked for all of us. It was a struggle. The first 2 years were great, exceptional, and last year was a wake-up call for all of us. But through that you learn a lot. It causes you to work harder, as everybody knows, and playing a little catch up. I love what I see at the shop. The bosses have made some internal changes, some management changes, and I like the direction that our cars are headed. That our group is headed in. Everybody's working together as one, as they did back in 2012 and in the first part of 2013 when I saw our best results. So with that, I'm just like you guys. I'm ready to get to the racetrack. It's been a long off season. It's been a fun off season. We had a lot of fun last weekend, Mike, but
Built your barn, right?
had a hell of a good time last weekend, as a matter of fact. But man, I'm telling you, after the holidays, it's always seems like you look forward to the holidays, and as soon as they're over, that very minute, it's that lull in between, Christmas and New Year's. It hits me every year, and I'm ready to get back to the racetrack. I watched a Chili Bowl. All those guys had a blast out there, beating and banging and racing hard, and can't wait to get to Daytona and do the same thing. Really thankful that 5 Iron Energy is behind me, Peak, AAA, and Patty. Having everybody together on our race team is important in today's day and age. You got to be able to believe in one another, and you got to have that support group back home at the race shop. And I think the changes that we've had is going to complement the guys. I see Dave Wilson back there in the back. I know they're stepping up their game in a big way, and that's what it takes. There's no go-to answer, no fix-all answer for what happened last year. It's a bunch of little things that Rob alluded to a little bit ago. I mean, it's that 1/10 of a second you're looking for, and there's not one answer that's going to get that. It's a bunch of little things, and I feel like we've got a lot of them behind us.
Very good. Well, look, I think we've got a few minutes. We can take a few questions from the audience. If you'll raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you. Please announce your name and your affiliation. Tim, go there.
Brian Nelson, Motor Racing Network. Clint, you were just talking about how you feel good about the direction the cars are heading. Can you put some flesh on those bones and talk a little bit about why, when you look at where your competitors might be going and so on, what specifically makes you feel good about the direction your cars are going?
Well, the flesh on the bones, if you had an off season like I did instead of like Brian did, you're probably a little more fleshy than you'd like. But, I think that it's just working together. Going to the race shop and seeing the attitude, the mindset on people, the confidence, the look in their eyes. I didn't have that last year. This time of year, everybody's excited. Everybody thinks the direction is right, but it really was a little bit of tension, with some of the engineering guys and some of the race guys. It's just communication, exactly what he just said, that it all boils down to, and we lacked that a little bit last year. I feel like the bosses have made some good decisions and putting the right people in place to get that communication back together, get the crew chiefs back involved with the decision making, the whole engineering staff, and those are the things that really make up the difference. There's a reason you have so many people working on these race cars, is because you need them. There's no one person that has the right answer. It's all of these people working together that's going to get you there, and that's what I feel like I see.
And I'll continue to say that not only are we working better together, the energy at the shop, like Clint said, is there. It's a great atmosphere, but it's just science. We're building cars that are lighter and they're more aerodynamic, and we're very comfortable with our direction and how we're proceeding forward. I know the cars are better, and I can't wait for these boys to get to drive them and get us back up toward the front. And I get to drive one of them.
Okay, let's go over here to Wolfgang, and then we're going to come back to Stan.
Wolfgang Monzer from Germany, Reichsmark Press Agency. A question to you, Michael. You just mentioned a little bit you're building better cars, better aero package. Are there other areas in the cars which you improve, suspension, engine, whatever?
It's the whole package, but I think, Wolfgang, the most important factor is what Clint was talking about, and that's just attitude and how we were able to use all the resources that Rob and I, as the owners, provide our team, and how we are able to work together as an organization. It's really seamless right now, and it's a great feeling. And I know y'all aren't going to see anybody over the next couple days that says, man, we're in trouble. That's just not the way this thing works, but we're confident about where we are.
Okay, let's go to Stan, and then we'll come to Jenna.
Thank you. Stan Creekmore with CompetitionPlus.com for Rob. Rob, in working through the challenges of running this operation, is it any different than other businesses you've run? How challenging is it to stay on top?
It's actually pretty darn hard. I mean, just to put a perspective on it, there's 225 people at Michael Waltrip Racing to field a two-car team. I think most people who are outside the industry don't really realize how big operations these are. But it's hard. I mean, it's if you're going to compete against Roger Penske and Rick Hendrick and Jack Roush. I mean, these top people. This is one of the most competitive sports on the planet. So I mean, if you want to really win, it's hard. So this is it's a difficult business. It's not one. As the guy said, there's not one magic bullet in this stuff. Where okay, here's where it's just constant refinement, and you can't make any mistakes. So.
Okay, let's go to Jenna.
Jenna Fryer, Associated Press. Yesterday, Kyle Busch said that they were idiots for not working closer, or the Toyota teams were not working closer. I'm wondering, what's your opinion on that, where the two Toyota teams stand, and if he's right or if more could or should be done?
Well, if we could get Kyle to work better with us, I mean, I think that it would be beneficial for sure.
Maybe I'll take the other half of that, which is, I think, look, we are here to win races for Michael Waltrip Racing, for our sponsors, right, for our team, right, 5 Hour, Aaron's, our partners expect us to win for that on their behalf. Likewise, JGR, so we, for their folks, so they compete on track. On Sunday we race against each other. We're both Toyota teams. We want to win a championship for Toyota. So there's some level of collaboration that makes sense, and you see that across all the different manufacturers. So I think, are there areas where, as between Toyota, JGR, and Michael Waltrip Racing, can we collaborate in areas that make sense to improve the overall level of competition? I think absolutely. Do we do that right now? Yes. Can we do it incrementally? I think the answer is also yes, right? And when the cars are finishing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 every single weekend, I think maybe we might collaborate less or rethink where we're at. But I think till we have that quality problem, I think we have plenty to work on.
All right. Let's go to Lee, and then we'll finish with Chris. No, Lee. Okay. Go ahead.
Dwayne Rummer, Estate.com. Clint, you mentioned the long off season. Could you talk a little bit about what you like best about the long off season and what you didn't like about the long off season?
Well, I mean, for me, having cash has been the best part.
You mean your son?
Yes. They're both
I've
great.
had a pretty good off season. I ain't got no cash.
But, I mean, we've had a blast with him, and probably exactly opposite of that. I think we were up 5 times last night. Eventually you just start laughing. Why is he not sleeping? What's the deal? But we really have enjoyed, that new addition to the family. And I got a new farm up there. And we haven't done anything. Not one thing. I don't think I've left. I was telling my mom, it's like, this is our last weekend. Do you think we ought to take the family and go somewhere this weekend? We may go up to the mountains or something and just enjoy one last weekend, because it all starts, with the dirt cars the following week for us. So it is a...
Clint, are you telling me your son has a hard time sitting still?
It's unbelievable. I don't know where it comes from. This kid's got massive amounts of ADD. I think he's going to be carrying Laura here before too long, though. I don't know what she's feeding him, but it's a lot.
5 Hour energy.
Yes, but it's always good. The off season is well needed. Everybody in this room knows that. Everybody looks forward to it. But we're all racers. We're all race fans of this sport, and it's not very long while we're sitting on the couch bored that we're ready to get back to the racetrack.
Okay.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Brian, it's really good to see you, but can you talk about what your off-season has been like, what you've had to deal with, and how you're getting back into shape to have the stamina it's going to take to get in the car at Las Vegas?
Sure. It started with, I was on my way to the Aaron's photo shoot, and I found my way to the hospital. Wasn't feeling well, and one thing led to another, and the doctors cut me open to make some repairs. It was a pretty traumatic event. Obviously going through that, it was definitely the worst of all the medical issues I probably had to face. And with a lot of uncertainty through the procedure itself and coming out the other side. But but I was able to make it through, and had some very, very good doctors here in Charlotte, actually, at Sanger Heart Institute and at CMC. And the recovery process was unlike anything I've experienced. It was painful, it was extreme, but I was blessed and had really good care. Yeah. So they took my heart out and they replaced it with a lion heart. Is what? So
It's way stronger.
it's way better.
Way much better.
One thing I can show, I know for sure, actually, there is a heart there, it's interesting. It's I think an interesting thing I didn't expect is I can actually feel my heartbeat a lot more, and they said that's very normal. That's common after open heart surgery for whatever reason. Like, I can tell you my heart rate without checking it. Like, I just, and that's kind of subsiding a little bit, but it's, the first week was, it took a couple weeks before I could even get up on my own. My first time out of the house was to go, it was probably pushing it, but my doctor said it was okay. My first trip, I guess it was about a week, or a little over a week to get home, to get out of ICU, and then a few days at home, and then my first trip was to MWR. They had the Christmas party coming up, and it was probably pushing it to do that trip, but it was something that meant a lot to me. This team has supported me through so much. I really wanted to be there for them. It was a brief stopover. There's two ways to get to the second floor at MWR. There's stairs, and there's an elevator. And so I made a little surprise trip. The only person that knew I was coming was Michael and I think maybe Rob. So I met Michael in the back, and he picked the stairs to get to the second floor. And then later he told me there was an elevator right next to the stairs. I was like, it took me 15 minutes to catch my breath after
I forgot we had an elevator, man.
Yeah. And when we were leaving, he's like, hey, do you want to take the elevator? I'm like, we could have done that on the way up.
It's fully OSHA compliant building.
Yeah, and I wasn't able to stay long, but it was worth it. And this team has just been there so much for me. We talked a bit earlier, about some of our team staying the same. I want to jump off topic for a second, but I want to. Billy has been a phenomenal crew chief for me this past year. I couldn't be more thrilled about going into this year with him. And through this whole process, him and his family have been so loving and supportive, and that makes a huge difference. It's the kind of caring that makes you want to lay down the tracks for someone. So, but anyway, I just jumping off topic there, but got back home and pretty much didn't leave for another week, and then the doctors, I don't remember exactly the time frame, kind of started slowly clearing me to do some activity, a little bit of cardio, now I'm training a pretty good bit, working with rehab specialists and trainers. Basically the biggest thing now I can't do is still my chest and my sternum still growing back together. So, I'm restricted in, like, say, bench press or push-ups, things like that, very chest-related exercises. But most everything else I can still do within reason. I can't pick up a certain amount of weight. Swimming is something I've always loved to do, and I'm back swimming again. So, just a couple days ago I swam 2 miles. I was a little bit off my old pace, but I'm getting back there.
2 miles?
Yeah, 2 miles. I usually 1.5, 2 miles somewhere in there. It's like I said, I was about 15 minutes slower than normal, but hey, I made it. I didn't drown.
15 minutes faster than I could do.
So, I'm going to continue that and try to, rest as much as I need to rest and push as much as I can push to be in the best shape I can possibly be in. The biggest limiting factor to my training is going to be, just very chest-related exercises up until I'm cleared to go in the car.
The good news is we have power steering.
The good news is
Actually, it's
we
not
have
very
power
hard to
steering.
steer.
May have to tune that up. Yeah, that's a good point, Billy. We might want to soften that up a little. I know we've kind of made it a little harder the last few. It's interesting. There was a lot of uncertainty. Going into the surgery. From a life health perspective, and there was a tremendous amount, about whether I'd ever go racing again. Unfortunately, I've had to hear that, you'll never go racing again too many times. And I've been blessed that I was able to get past that and be able to go back in a race car. When I went to I think it took all of us, including myself, by surprise when I went back for my last checkup. Everything was looked great and ahead of schedule. And they said that you'd be cleared for Vegas, and I kept saying, "Are you sure? Like, shouldn't we make this Phoenix or California?" No, you're good. I'm like, "Are you sure?"
The doctor even said we don't need to see him anymore.
Yeah,
you're fine.
Yeah, I was like, "Well, do I need to come back? And before I go to the no, you're good." I'm like, "Are you sure I don't need to come back?" "No, you're good." So it wasn't like I was pushing them to get in the car early. I really wanted to make sure, and as everyone sitting on the stage and all of our partners kind of insisted, health comes first, and this decision-making process, it very much did. But that's when they felt very comfortable being back in the race car, and I can tell you, I can't be more excited about being back in that race car. It's. I told you last year I wanted to come back because I want to win a championship, and nothing's changed. That's why I'm here, and I love racing. I can't wait to go 200 miles an hour again.
Very good. Couple of quick announcements. When these gentlemen are available for our breakout interviews in the room behind us, we will also have crew chiefs Brian Patty and Billy Scott, and Brett Moffitt will also be joining us back there for interviews. So they'll be available as well. We're going to do the breakouts, and they'll be available until about 10:15. Just like yesterday, we'd like to start with our print and online media on the left side of the room, our broadcast media on the right. I'd like to share one quick shout out to Michael and Rob and their team. It's one of those great stories about things that you really never hear about, but I'm going to share it right now because it was really important to us. Last year, heading into our May races at Charlotte, we found out that one of our longtime campers who'd been camping with us for over 15 years was losing a battle with cancer. And basically, after this visit to the Coca-Cola 600, she was going to go into hospice care early in the summer. So her family went to great lengths to get her back to the racetrack for one final race, and they shared with us that Michael Waltrip was her favorite driver. So we reached out to the team, and in the midst of their fan day and everything else they had taking place during race week, they said, "We would love to meet her. Please bring her up to the shop." And we took her up there for the day. They took her behind the scenes. Michael and the drivers all spent a little time with her, and it really gave her last trip to Charlotte the most memorable that she'd ever had. So I wanted to say on behalf of the Speedway guys, thank you for that. That was wonderful. And that's why people in NASCAR are so great, because they do stuff like this.
Yeah, I'd like to say one more thing. I meant to say it earlier. We all, one thing I've learned the hard way, we all have our battles in life, and I'm not unique to that. Everyone in this room has some kind of struggle or something they have to face in life, and you have to keep going. There's two people missing here today, Holly and Steve, that have their own battles right now. And just want to say that we miss them and wish them nothing but the best.
Yeah. Certainly we'll keep them in our thoughts and our prayers, and a lot of good history with these guys at Charlotte Motor Speedway for a team that's only 9 years old. As Rob said, they're building some things there. Brian, actually, when you get back there, ask him about missing his one of his proms in high school to come race an ARCA race when he was kicking off his career at Charlotte. And of course, Clint's a Bank of America 500 winner, so it's always fun to see this guy in victory lane. Thank you, gentlemen, on behalf of the Speedway. We appreciate you kicking off day 2 with us here at the media tour. You can exit that way. And if you all will give them just a couple of minutes, you can go get your interviews in the breakout interview room. Thank you.
I can't have it any other way.